bombarding me with questions, wanting to know.
So he will be in.
He will be in. He got the message in from Red Cross last night, about midnight, I think he said.
Okay.
So,
Have you been able to speak with him?
I did. I talked to him. I talked to him earlier today. You know, he's upset. He just wants to know, you know, he's wanting to.
Is today the first time you were able to talk to him?
I talked to him for a little bit yesterday.
This chair instead of that one? Or?
I'm sure on it.
So you did talk to him a little bit?
I did get a chance to talk to him yesterday. Actually, when he first called, I didn't know it when he called me, but he had already spoken with my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and they told him over the phone, you know, what had happened, because he just got a message down the chain of command that he needed to call. Gotcha. And but my niece had posted on Facebook, you know, please pray. There's been a death in our family on my dad's side, and so Joshua saw that on Facebook, and he messaged her. He's like, what's going on? Who died? What's going on? And all she would tell him was, you need to call my dad. And so he's like, well, when I get off work.
That went through really fast, didn't it? Well, I guess the internet is an amazing thing, isn't it?
Yes. So she told, you know, he's like, well, I'm still at work. As soon as I get off work, I'll call. And so when he called, when he got off work, he called my sister-in-law's cell phone, and they were actually on their way to Hawthorne at the time. And so, you know, my sister-in-law answered the phone, and she's like, hang on, I'm going to let you talk to your Uncle Tim. And so then he got on the phone with my brother-in-law, and he told him. So, but when he called me, though, when he finally called me, we were still at the scene. When he finally called me, I did not know yet that he had been told that he knew. So, and I was like, how am I going to tell him? How do I tell him this? I mean, he's in Iraq. How do I say this? And it was like, as soon as I heard his voice, I just broke up again. I just couldn't.
Did you tell him?
No, I didn't. Like I said, I didn't tell him. I just started crying. I was like, oh my gosh, how do I do this? And my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, literally, as he called, they were walking up. And so just as I started crying when he called, my oldest daughter, Gwen, had told me that they had just gotten there. So I walked around like the corner of the trees and saw them and started crying. And Josh was like, Mom. And, you know, my sister-in-law told me, she goes, we've already talked to Joshua. It's okay, he already knows. And so it was like,
so you didn't have to be the one to
I didn't have to be the one to tell him. And I know my brother-in-law is very calm. He's a minister and very calm about things and very, you know, very level-headed and everything. So I was glad that he was the one that talked to him. But
so Josh should be in when?
Probably Sunday. Sometime Sunday, we don't know. He was actually supposed to have should have already been in Baghdad by now, but there was a sandstorm. So he
delayed things.
Yeah, he talked to my mom, and because like I said, he should have already been on it. He was supposed to get on a helicopter and go from his base to Baghdad, and then Baghdad to Kuwait, Kuwait to either Greenland or Maine, and then from there on into Jacksonville. But that takes a couple of days, and when the sandstorms kick up, nobody moves. So.
Now, where will he be staying? Who will he be staying with when he gets here?
Yet. Okay. I have no idea. Do y'all need to talk to him too?
I would, just because we talk to everybody. Okay. You know, it's just something that you have to do because, you know, you need to speak with everybody, you know, that is involved in somebody's life in one way or another because, you know, maybe, I don't know how close Josh and his dad were, but
he was closer to him than the girls were.
Okay, see, and he may know something from that you guys don't know about that maybe dad was having an issue with somebody, you know, or you know what I'm saying? Maybe dad confided something about, you know, a neighbor was bothering him. You never know. Yeah. But it's always good to talk with anybody that has any, you know, relationship with someone who's been a victim of something like this. That way we can find out if anybody, you know, has any ideas or anything like that. And if he's, you know, he was closer with him than the girls were, you know, he might be able to you know, maybe dad told him something about a neighbor bothering him, or who knows, you know, maybe owed somebody money, you know, whichever the case may be right now.
No idea.
But yeah, I definitely would like to talk to him when he gets in. So, does he have a cell phone?
He does, but it's turned off because it doesn't work over there. Yeah, he had Sprint, and Sprint doesn't work over there.
So, will you have him get in contact with me?
Oh yeah, definitely
on Monday.
Yes,
like if he's in by Monday, you know, if you'll have him contact me, just so you know, we can talk to him too.
Okay, no, that's not a problem. Like I said, he should be in Sunday. He said that if he can't get a hold of like me or my mom, that my brother-in-law and his wife live in Jacksonville. So he would call them, they'd go pick him up, and then they'd probably bring him down here to us.
Okay.
So, yeah, but no, as soon as he gets in, you know, as soon as everything's kind of...
And on the back is my cell phone in case
okay.
I'm in and out of the office a lot, you know,
Yeah.
if I'm working, something like this. So I might be easier to catch up with me on my cell phone. But if you'll do that, then that would be a great help.
Oh, yeah, that's not a problem. Yeah, definitely.
What's your first name again?
Stephanie.
Stephanie. Okay, that's what I thought. With a PH or
Yes,
an F?
ma'am.
A-N-I-E?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And it's
Hudnall, H-U-D-N-A-L-L.
What's your date of birth?
4870.
And your physical address where you live at?
6787. Gilda, G-I-L-D-A, Court, Keystone Heights.
What's that zip?
32656.
Now, do you have a cell phone or a home phone?
I have a cell phone. It's area code 352-281-1450.
Okay. Can you just start me back through, I guess, just tell me everything, you know, in full, what you know in detail.
Where do you want me to start? Like the day we went over there, or
anything that you think would have to do with this? Start me there. Just everything in detail.
The only thing that we've been able to think of, Bill had told us a few weeks ago. I don't know. Everybody keeps asking me, okay, well, you know, when exactly? I couldn't tell you exactly what day. He told us a few weeks ago that he had been watching somebody in a car, a sedan. He said it was dark. He couldn't really tell if it was black or blue or green, but it was a dark car with shiny rims. And he said there was they would meet up with somebody. He assumed it was a black person. He did not know for sure, but he said he thought he saw dreads. You know, sometimes they had a hat on or something, but thin, usually on a bicycle that was too small. You know, looked like a big person on a kid's bike. He said he'd been taking notes and watching them. And honestly, when he first told us about it, we really kind of blew it off. He'd just taken the security guard class to get certified to do security work or whatever. And we thought it was just, you know, overactive imagination, I guess, or something, you know. But and then when we were over there the other night, he said something about it again. So,
okay, now let's go back to start me at the very beginning on you guys going over there the other night. Like, what preempted that? Did you call? Like, start me from the very beginning there and take me through the whole entire thing from there.
Okay, we had he actually went with us to go to Gainesville and check on a school for our oldest daughter. She wants to go to massage therapy school.
Okay. When was that?
It's been a few weeks because it was before. I want to say it was like right after Mother's Day.
So you guys,
I couldn't tell you exactly what day it was. I really couldn't tell you. He had a doctor's appointment that day at the VA, and we were actually supposed to be there at the school a lot earlier in the day, but he had this doctor's appointment, so we were, kind of late getting there because it just kind of drug on and on and on. The VA is. We went and talked to them. We had kind of talked a little bit about her going to check out some other schools, and he's like, well, let me know when you want to go. And then we talked a couple of weeks ago, because it was before his phone went off. And I don't know, we didn't talk all the time. We didn't talk every day. The girls didn't talk to him every day. So it's, we had talked to him though about borrowing the truck to go, because we wanted to go to Ocala and to St. Augustine. We had been told that there were massage schools there, and so she wanted to check those out.
Now, when did you talk to him about borrowing the truck?
Like I said, it's been a couple of weeks ago. It was before his phone went off, and I was supposed to call him, and we were going to, go over there, and it's like, but he knew it wasn't supposed to be last week. It was supposed to be sometime this week.
So you guys kind of had at least a designated week down.
Yeah, and actually we were supposed to go. I think he and I had talked about like Tuesday, but he said just whenever. So we went over Wednesday evening to pick up the truck, and we actually didn't even know if he was going to be home, because it's my son's truck, but he had the truck, and he had an old car that he was trying to sell. Mm-hmm. That was his hideous car. Had no front end, no back end. But no, we actually pulled through the street, and usually he had the car parked out front because he was trying to sell it, and it wasn't there. So we're like, oh great, we've driven all this way over here and he's not even home. And then we got on up there, and the car was gone, but the truck was there, so he was home. He was actually in the bathtub. This was Wednesday. Okay. He was actually in the bathtub. Probably about 7:30. Because we had dropped my youngest one off at a friend's house, and I think we left there like right at 7, so it was probably about 7:30ish.
Okay.
And
so he was in the bathtub when
he was in the bathtub when we got there, because he didn't know, like I said, exactly when we were coming or anything.
But he was actually expecting you on Tuesday.
Yeah, we were actually, well, like I said, he and I had talked about it, but that was before his phone went off. But I said, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. I said, because, she wanted to go and look and see what was there. We were going to take the truck because the car that we have, it kind of overheats if you drive it too far for too long.
And is that the Mustang?
Yeah, the Mustang, okay. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was about 7:30.
Yeah, it was probably about 7:30. We sat there and talked, and he was telling us that he had gone to work for I guess it's one of those like a labor ready, like you work for the day, you get paid for the day, right. That kind of a thing. Because he said they would either pay him by the day or by the week, and he told him just to pay him by the week. But he hadn't worked in so long pipe fitting. He had a problem with his arm. He had like a real bad twitch, and it would it started from like the neck and the shoulder all the way down. His arm, he couldn't control it, and his hands, his fingers would kind of curl and bend, and it was constantly moving. He couldn't stand still, It was just kind of jerking all the time. And he had, the last job he had, he couldn't stay on that job because he couldn't control it. Well, yeah, he couldn't grasp it. Anyway, he had cut his thumb a few years ago, and it just barely nicked the skin, and he didn't really think anything of it because he said it was such a shallow cut, but he actually cut through the tendon in the thumb, so his thumb wouldn't do this anymore. So for a long time, we kind of thought that the twitch, when he first started twitching, was from the nerve, that maybe the nerve had caused some other kind of damage, but sure. I think we finally kind of figured out that he probably had a stroke because there was so many other changes that as time went on we started noticing. But gotcha. We got over there Wednesday, and he was telling us about this job that he'd gone on, and he's like, I figured because my arm had been doing a little bit better that I'd be able to to work. And he said, I don't know if it was being out in the heat or if it was just trying so hard to control it. He said, it didn't work.
When did he go on this job?
He started Wednesday.
So it was
he had
earlier
worked
that day.
Yeah, he had worked that day.
Okay.
No. When I talked to him that night, that was what he had told me, was that he had worked that day. He got off at like 3:30 or something.
On Wednesday.
He said it was supposed to be
the same night you guys came over.
Yes.
There. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, because I asked him, I'm like, well, do you still need the truck? He's like, no. He's like, I can't do the job. But we were supposed to have the truck like for the whole day, and then we were gonna take the truck back the next morning. Like, we picked it up on Wednesday, we had it Thursday, we were supposed to bring it back like this morning. But he said that he needed the truck back around 11 or 12 because he wanted to go wanted to go back and talk to these people and see if they had something else that he could do that wouldn't, require that other hand. So, because what he did, I mean, it's a two-handed job. You have to hold this. Sometimes you have to hold it in place while you're doing.
Sure.
I don't know. He tried to explain the job to me all the time.
Certain things we're just not interested in.
No, not really.
Sure.
Especially not when he's dreaming and he talks about it.
I understand.
Yeah. But
so the original plan was you guys were going to keep the car for an entire day and then bring it back the next morning. That way you'd have time to do what you need to do.
Yeah, because like I said, we were supposed to go to Ocala and check there, and then St. Augustine and check there because we've been told there was one there. So we were going to check on all that.
But before, but he said he needed it back by 11 or so.
11 or 12 because he wanted to go talk to those people. So it was like there was no time to go, to go to Ocala and drive around and no time to go to, St. Augustine and do all that and still be back over there by 11 or so. So it just.
So, I mean, with all that being the way that was, why even take the truck that night?
Well, that would have been it, but we only have the one cell phone. I had the cell phone. I had already left, because I left like about 8:15ish to get home.
So he didn't tell you that?
No, he didn't tell me until, he told Gwen after I left. He goes, oh, well, I need the truck back tomorrow. But by then, she had no way to contact me to turn around and come back and get her, because his cell phone was off and his house phone was off.
But then you guys had already discussed the fact that you were supposed to keep the truck for a day, but he didn't bring it up while you were there?
He didn't say anything while I was there. So I don't know if maybe he, didn't think about it or what. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, you'd think he would have said something before you got a chance to leave, because honestly, if thinking about it, what would be the purpose to even need the truck then if you had to have it back by 11? You wouldn't even have time to really run to even Ocala.
Mm-mm. No, and also he had told us that he'd make sure that the gas tank was full and everything. Gwen got out to the house and it was almost on empty. So and he didn't have any money, so I guess he didn't. I don't know if he. I don't know. I don't know. So we talked for a few minutes. He was telling us about the job and about talking about his plants. He had planted tomatoes and squash and stuff, and he was talking about his garden. We talked about the dog for a minute, and I know he talked about the trees and stuff. I know he wanted Gwen to come back and help him. So
do what with the trees?
Oh, he'd been cutting limbs down and trees. Well, the whole property had been neglected for several years, and I know we had already done quite a bit of work, and he needed help lifting stuff and things like that. And he wanted all three of us to come over. Gracie does not like going over there, and she don't like doing that kind of stuff. She don't like tree work and yard work, and so.
What's the relationship between Gracie and him, or what was it? Was it just kind of tense? Tense.
I know there towards the end, he, like the last few months, he would be trying to, pick at her and play with her and stuff like that. But he would be, how do I put it? like he'd thump her or something. I guess kind of almost treating her like a boy. He'd thump her, whack her, hit her, or whatever, just kind of playing or whatever. And it would hurt because he'd hit her a lot harder than he really realized. And it hurt her feelings. And the last few times that she went over there, I mean, she hadn't been over there in a few months, 3 months probably. But I know the last time she went over there, she walked in the door and he started to lift his hand and she said, "Don't touch me. Don't touch me." And, she, I guess in her 12-year-old mind or something, she kind of made picking at him a sport and, picking on him. And that was one thing she cried about last night. She said that it bothered her. She felt bad because she'd been so mean to him. But
that's typical teenage kid kind of thing, too.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, so you guys talked about all this and doing some yard work and stuff like that. Now, so you left before your daughter left that night?
Gwen, yeah.
So about what time again did you leave?
It was probably about 8:15.
Okay.
Because we were there longer than we had even realized we'd been there, so, but I didn't even realize what time it was. And Gwen looked up at the clock. She goes, "Oh my gosh, Mom, it's 8:15." And like I said, I have no taillights on the car, so I had to get on the Mustang.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you left about 8:15 in the Mustang.
Yeah.
It doesn't have taillights?
What it is like when you turn the headlights on, the taillights don't come on. So I can turn the it's got all kinds of problems. The dashboard lights, nothing works. Yeah, there's something like under the brake pedal or something. I don't know. My brother-in-law was supposed to fix it and that hadn't happened yet. But no, so the taillights didn't work. You'd pull on the headlights, but the taillights wouldn't come on. So it's kind of important for me to usually be home, in the car before it gets dark.
Gotcha.
So, that's why I had to go ahead and leave. And she said, she'd be a few minutes behind me, so.
Why didn't she, what did she hang back for?
Nothing, they were just sitting there talking. Nothing in particular that I know of, but they were just sitting there talking. He was, he always wanted her to hang around, so.
Just asking because I'm just thinking you guys go over there and pick up the car. It'd be probably, especially with as late as it was getting, to have, if somebody were following you.
Well, that's why I needed to be home before dark. It's about a 25.
But I'm saying, like, if she was
drive.
following you, then you kind of wouldn't have to worry about somebody getting behind you and not.
Right.
And no taillights being back there or something like that.
Well, no, the flashers work.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if I turn on the hazard lights, they work, so people can see me, but I still try not to do that.
So, did you make it home? Was it before dark?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What time do you think you made it home?
Probably about 1/4 till, about 8:45-ish.
So, it's about
it's about a 25, 30-minute drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, then about what time would you say Gwen made it home?
Probably about 9:15, 9:30-ish. I don't know, I didn't really look at the clock.
Now, when she came in, was there any reason, did everything seem okay? Did she say anything was wrong, noticed anything like that?
No, she didn't really say anything. She sat down on the couch and
She
didn't really say anything. Yeah.
Okay.
She didn't really, talk about anything. So, we didn't know.
Right. So then, take me through the rest of the evening into the next day when you come back to the house. You guys are both home. Do anything in particular? Did you guys leave and go anywhere? Was it,
No, we didn't go anywhere.
Okay, so when she came in between 9:15 and 9:30, just take me through what time, what you guys did for the rest of the night. I just kind of need, what I'm saying, just
I
all
understand.
the way up to.
Yeah. No, she got in. We she had watched the Hawaii Five-0 season finale. Mm-hmm. We don't have TV. I mean, we have TVs in the house, but we don't have like satellite or cable or anything like that. So everything we watch is online. And she had watched it, I don't know, a few days ago or last week or something, and I hadn't watched it because she stayed up later than I did. And she'd watch it on the computer and all that. So I was going to watch it. And actually, I thought she watched it with me because she said something about it. She fell asleep on the couch, and I'm sitting there thinking she's watching it with me.
So you guys watched on the computer?
On the computer, yeah.
Okay, like Hulu or...
Yeah, Hulu. It is. Yeah. Hulu is the bomb. Mm-hmm. They're great.
Yeah, it is. Okay,
we have Netflix, too, but it's kind of disappointing because some stuff isn't on Netflix.
Right, some stuff that you might want to watch.
Yeah, like current stuff is not on Netflix, so we try to get that on Hulu, but some of them you still can't get on Hulu even. In fact, Hulu's got a pay thing now to where you can get more, but I can't afford to do all that.
Right. Sure.
Oh.
So you started watching the Hawaii Five-0 thing? Or?
Yeah, because she had told me about it, and so I wanted to watch it. I just hadn't had a chance to. The girls usually have control of the computer, so if you have kids, you know what I mean.
So about what time do you think everybody went to bed and all that?
I think I went to bed probably about 11.
So did you just watch Hawaii Five-0 and then?
Well, I mean, I watched that, and I know we had. I think she got online. She may have gotten on Facebook or something.
After you got done watching?
Yeah, because I went to the bathroom and stuff and went and changed and all that. So I think she did.
And then
you
go to bed and she was still online or something like that? Or?
No, I don't think she was on. I think she went on and got in her bed. I mean, once I got done, because I went back in there, I have different medication and stuff that I take. So I went and took my pills and stuff and went to bed. So I don't sleep unless I take certain things.
So then you guys get up the next morning. What's your day like? From the time you wake up until the time you get over there. Kind of take me through your day.
Well, since she had told me the night before that he needed the truck back and everything, it was like there wasn't no sense in getting up early because there just wouldn't be enough time to go and come back. I figured since we had the truck, I had a door in the house that needed to go to the dump. So we took that to the dump, and he wanted the other 2 chairs for his for the dining room table. And
so about what time did you get up, maybe?
Oh, honey, I have no idea. With us, probably 9:30, 10 o'clock. Could have even been later than that. Well, it wasn't even later than that. Probably about 9:30, 10 maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. None of us work right now, so it's like we don't really pay that much attention to the clock.
So you get up, take me through your morning. What do you do prior to leaving? You go to the, take me through your entire day. Just tell me from start to finish what you, as you wake up.
We met, I took a shower. I know Gwen took a shower before we left. We made cinnamon rolls, had a little bit to eat, and that was pretty much it. We loaded up the chairs in the truck. We put the door in the truck, and we kind of looked to see if there's anything else that we could really take. But his toolbox was in the back of the truck. He's got a big, huge orange toolbox, and it takes up pretty much about 2/3 of the back end of that little truck. It's a Toyota 4Runner or something, maybe little SUV-ish thing. Yeah. So the toolbox took up the majority of the back of the truck, so we took the tire out that was in there. And I actually meant to put it in the Mustang to take it to him, and I forgot about it. And it's still sitting there in my yard. But we put the chairs in there and the door in there.
Where'd you put the chairs at? What part?
In the back of the truck.
In the back or in the
back?
The
back. Yeah,
all the way to the back. So there was enough room with that toolbox to get those chairs in there.
Yeah, because they sat, kind of like, one on.
Right, you put them on top
of the other like that. Yeah. Right. Or like that, I guess. But yeah.
And so then how did you get that door in there?
The window on the back of the door is one of the little hatch back door things. The window goes down. Okay. So we rolled the window down because it wouldn't go all the way in. We thought it would close, but it didn't. So we rolled the window down and and put it in that way.
Okay. And then from there?
We went to the dump to drop off the door.
Which dump did you guys?
On 214 in Keystone. Okay. I told the detectives, Detective Phillips and the guy that was with her, I told them where it was, how to get there, because they didn't know where it was. So we went there, dropped off the door, went on into town because both of us needed gas because she picked the truck up from him. It was pretty much empty. So I put like $10 in the car and $10 in the truck, and then we went on to Hawthorne. She had asked me if she could stop and get something to drink. Before we got there, we stopped and got gas, and I didn't even think about it. And she didn't. We started to pull out, and she's like, "Can I stop and get a drink?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you can go ahead and go in." She's like, "Well, I'll just wait till we get over there." So when we got through there, I went on through the intersection, and she pulled in. There's a Shell station right there because we go a back way. But so she stopped right there at the Shell station and got something to drink. And then by the time she got to the house, I was already on the phone with 911.
Now, were you driving
I was driving the truck.
Okay.
She doesn't like driving the truck because there's no radio in it.
Gotcha.
There is, but it doesn't work. So she doesn't really like driving the truck. She complained about it the other night when she got home. She's like, "I hate Josh's truck." I was like, "Why?" She goes, "Radio don't work." So she's a big radio person.
So when you get there, I
pulled out to the carport where he usually parked because he parked it underneath the carport. Mm-hmm. And so I got out of the truck and I got the chairs out. And usually, he was expecting us. He knew we were coming, so he would have already been out. He should have heard the car door and everything. And I didn't hear him, so I was hollering for him because he always has all the windows open because there's no AC in the house. Mm-hmm. So he's always got all the windows open and got a fan going or something. And I hollered for him and, to come out and get one of the chairs because one of the chairs, it has like slats that go down the back, but the back has like lifted off, so the only two things left is like the two slats on the sides that go up. So I was, hollering for him because I figured he'd come out and help me get the chairs and everything. And he didn't, I didn't hear him, so I called at him again. I was like, "Bill, are you up?" And I didn't hear anything. I got up on the front porch and I leaned down to look in the window because like where his bedroom is like this, there's a door right here at the end of the room that goes into that side bathroom right there. Mm-hmm. And so I figured, I thought, well, maybe he's in the bathroom or something because I knew he'd already taken a bath the night before, which the only place he can take a bath is in the bathtub at the other bathroom at the back of the house. Okay. The front bathroom, it works, like the sink and the toilet and everything works and the tub works, but there's no hot water run to that bathroom. Okay. That was something he'd been working on. I know he wanted one of us to go over there and help him climb under the house, and one of the girls didn't want to do that. But he would usually be in that bathroom if, that would be the only other place, because he should have heard me, like, even if he was in the living room or the dining room or something, he should have heard me. So I leaned down to see if the door was shut, the bathroom door was shut, and that's when I saw him on the bed.
And then did you ever go into the house?
Oh, I never went in the house. I screamed, I ran off the porch, I about fell down the steps trying to get off the porch because I didn't know if anybody was still in the house. I didn't, had no idea. And I ran out into the yard and called 911.
Gotcha.
So, and then Gwen pulled up in the yard just, a couple of minutes after I'd gotten on the phone with 911, and I wouldn't let her go up on the porch or anything. I didn't want her to see that. Everybody kept asking me, "Well, what did you see? What did you see?" And it's like, it took me a second to really realize what I was seeing, but I saw his nose and then blood. And that was it.
Anything else that you can think of that was out of place for his room?
No. Well, like I said, I really didn't notice the room. I saw him laying there in the bed, but like he was laying on his back, like with his hands down. I told Gwen, I said it looked like he had just climbed in the bed and laid down because he was laying flat on his back. He was had his hands, looked like he had the one hand down next to him. But I mean, that was all I saw. Like I said, I split second, I ran.
Did you see anything else sitting around or laying around him?
No, because I couldn't see, I mean, the way the room is, and he had another curtain at the end of the house and everything, and I really couldn't, I don't really recall seeing anything else in the room. I mean, like I said, I saw him, and that was pretty much it. I didn't.
Now, you guys have been separated for how long?
Since like last August.
Last August, okay, so getting close to a year.
Because it was right after our daughter's birthday.
And when is that?
Her birthday's August 3rd.
And that's the youngest one?
Yeah, the youngest one.
Okay. Yeah. So how long have you guys been together, married, whatever the case?
20 years.
20 years, okay.
Actually, but we've known each other for like 21 years now. But yeah, we've been legally married 20 years in January.
You guys are still actually married, just separated.
We're still legally
right now.
married, yeah.
Gotcha. So what is the relationship? What was obviously at some point, what was the turning point or whatever of you guys, what was the deal with the separation?
Well, we've been separated,
Sure,
a few times back and
okay.
forth. He was abusive, could be very mean, very, very controlling a lot of times.
When you
sometimes
say abusive,
he'd make me,
give me a little better, like abusive how?
Physically abusive, verbally abusive, sexually abusive.
Sexually and physically.
If I did something that he wasn't happy about, he usually wouldn't hit me because he didn't want to leave a mark or anything. But no, his favorite form of punishment was in the bedroom.
And I mean, what did he do? Like, as far as how
you
that
want
goes?
Details?
Well, I mean, I kind of need to get a mindset of what was going on in you guys' life for how did, you guys separating and things like that. Did you ever turn him in or talk to anybody or?
I stayed at a domestic violence shelter in Ocala once. We were living in Gainesville. I stayed in a shelter in Ocala, and that was when the kids were young. The two oldest ones were still in diapers.
Okay.
And that was the first time. It's been pretty much a rocky marriage the whole time. Joshua was born. We went to Louisiana just a few months after our son was born, and we lived with his mother, and she didn't like me. I found that out like the first week. She didn't like me in Louisiana. Yeah, his mom didn't really like me, and I overheard her talking to my sister-in-law and heard her tell my sister-in-law that she liked the first one better. I was the third wife.
Wow.
And it's like the first wife was very much into the church, very, very strict Pentecostal. And the second wife was an exotic dancer in New Orleans, and then there was me.
And you guys have actually been together 20 years. So
the first wife, he lived with her, I think, for 6 months. The second wife was a couple of months, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and then come to find out later, he was never actually legally married to the second wife because he was still legally married to the first wife when he married the second wife. Sorry. My mother's already tried to call once, I think. Can I call you back? Okay. All right. I love you too. Okay. Bye. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
I wonder voicemail. Wow. Okay.
So was he abusive through the entire relationship?
Off and on, yeah. I mean, he would get, we'd be separated and he would get better or, things would be okay for a while and then, sometimes he'd be fine for 6 months sometimes 3 months, and sometimes less than that. But, you know, it was a back and forth.
So
over the years.
When you did something he didn't like, or whatever the case may be, it was physical. Like, did he hit you ever? I mean, was there...
He did hit me. He hit me a few times. One time he actually did hit me in the face. And, like, I know my son didn't really... Bill told him that he never hit me. He didn't do anything. And we were in the Quigley House Shelter in Green Cove Springs. I'm actually one of the few clients, they call them, that's ever been there twice. And especially twice because of another client. That's a whole nother story.
So you've spent some time in some shelters.
Yes.
For domestic type stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
About how many would you say?
Well, like I said, one time in Ocala, and then twice at Quigley House.
And that's in Green Cove?
That's in Green Cove.
And how long ago was that?
It's been a few years, probably about, I think we've been in the house 7 years, so probably about 4.5, 5 years.
And you ended up in there a couple separate times.
Mm-hmm.
So when you leave there, somehow he managed to talk you into, okay, I'm going to do better.
Yeah. One time he had actually said he was going to he was going to go to counseling, but he never did that.
So for the most part, the abusiveness was sexual in nature.
Usually, yeah, that was the majority of it. I mean, he would talk hateful to me. I mean, he told me one time that he was ashamed to be, for people to know he was married to me, and he was embarrassed to be seen with me in public. And I'm like, but then he'd want me back, and he'd say that I was beautiful, and he loved me, and I was so, this and that and whatever. And it's like, I wanted to, I never wanted to be one of the statistics, to get divorced and everything. But, and like all three of our children, all three of them have the same dad. They all three have the same mom. They all three have the same last name, which with my kids going to public school for a few years, it was, that was an odd thing, for mom to have the same last name as the kids and stuff like that. But,
so what was how you ended up finally separating?
Pretty much the final straw was on our 19th anniversary. We went out to dinner, and he told me that he had 3 other children.
Wow.
That he had never told me about. 1 in Indonesia and 2 somewhere in Louisiana that he really had never met, didn't have anything to do with them.
What prompted him to tell you that?
We were sitting there talking and just kind of making jokes, and I said something about, our kids, and I said, well, all 3 of our kids, and he goes, well, our 3, and it was just the way he said it and the face he made, and I'm like, what? And he goes, well, yeah, the 3 I have with you. And I'm like, huh?
And this was the first time you had heard anything about any of that?
Yeah. Wow. And, he's like, well, I have 1 in Indonesia, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And so then he sat there and started telling me, and I mean, it was just like he was talking about it to somebody that had already, he'd known forever, that had known all about this. Well, there's the one, and he was telling me that it was a woman, a native, somebody that lived there, that from there, that he'd been kind of seeing, but it was basically just she thought there was something more.
That was
but
a long time ago?
Back in the 80s, the early 80s.
Or something?
Marines, yes ma'am. He was on embassy duty in Indonesia. So it was somebody from there. He said he didn't even know that she was even pregnant until after he had gotten back to the States. And one of the guys that he had been on embassy duty with in Indonesia, he ran into him, I guess, in Virginia or somewhere, wherever he was stationed at when he came back. And they told him that, this woman had sent, letters with pictures, and then she came by, and apparently the baby was a boy. and they never, he said that was just kind of the way they did things. They never forwarded any of the letters or anything like that. They just kind of just blow it off.
So that night you said...
bad. No, I didn't say anything that night. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, I didn't know what to do. It's like, why would you, after all these years, why would you tell me this now? And he's like, I don't know, just, And I mean, he just acted like it was nothing. But no, that was when it was kind of like, after that, I didn't necessarily quit sleeping in the bed with him, but I would always make sure that he was in bed and asleep before I went to bed. A lot of times I'd just end up sleeping on the couch downstairs or something. And
so what was the final whatever that he moved literally out of the house?
He was in Mississippi working, and the kids and I had come back. We had all been out there with him in Louisiana. He was working a job out there in New Orleans, and we went out there because he had an apartment out there, and we had the house here, and it was like supporting two households. We weren't getting ahead, and we were, still, just getting by between things going on out there and things going on here and stuff like that. So we rented out the house here in Florida, and the girls and I went out there with him. My daughter and I were going to take like some little community classes, things. Like Gwen is actually a certified phlebotomist. I started going to the school, but then we didn't have the money for me to keep going. Things were, we're kind of tight. He decided that the one of his supervisors there at work, he didn't like the guy, so he quit going to work every day. He would, he was scheduled to work 4 10s. That was their normal shift, was 4 10-hour days. And he would, have the weekend off, and he'd get up and it's like, Monday morning, I don't know if I want to work today. But he would tell me, oh, well, they told us the other day not to come in on Monday because there's, we don't have the pipe, or we don't have this, or, there's just not that much to keep us busy and stuff like that. And then he'd go in, and that went on for 3 months. And then he finally told me that, I said, I don't understand. It was like every week you're off. What is going on? And he was making really good money, but he got tired of working with that guy, so he just quit going in.
So when then finally
he quit that job, went and tried to get another job. That didn't work. There was some kind of mix up or something with that. Some kind of paperwork or something. The job was supposed to start on a certain day, and he was supposed to have certain things completed for the hiring process and whatnot, and he didn't get it done. Well, it ended up that the lady that was kind of like over the hiring process, she didn't tell him that he had to do, he had to call and make an appointment and do this and that and blah blah blah, and she didn't tell him all that, so he ended up missing out on that job because he didn't get the things completed in time. He started looking for another job. He did finally find another job, but it was like less than half the pay. He worked there for a little while. Then we moved from the apartment we were at in Destrehan to a trailer in Denham Springs, Walker, right there, to be closer to that job because it was, almost an hour's drive one way. And so we moved up there. We were there a week, and he got fired. And it's like, but I mean, over this time, we've been noticing a change in his personality and his attitude and stuff. So he told me that he did something that didn't meet whatever kind of, what did he say? He didn't check a serial number or something, I think is what he said. And it was ultimately his job to do it. And so he got fired for not checking the serial number, and he put the wrong thing in the wrong place because he didn't match whatever. So they fired him for that. And then they told him that they'd hire him back within, 90 days or something, I think. But, he never got that call back. He never went back to work. I finally found him another job in Mississippi, but it wasn't, making a whole lot. There was no per diem. So, things were really tight. My dad sent me money for the girls and I to move back to our house here in Florida, because it made no sense that we had, the mortgage payment here in Florida to make and things like that going on here, and then still paying, rent and everything else out here. It'd be easier if we just,
Right.
in one place where we already had, and we had to, keep the payment anyway. So we went ahead and came back, and just a few weeks after we got back, then he called me one day and said he said, well, I need you to come get me. And I'm like, what do you mean come get you? He goes, well, the truck broke down. I'm in Alabama. And I'm like, wait a minute, what are you doing in Alabama? And he had quit the job, said he figured he'd do just as good sitting at home collecting unemployment. And it was like, I can't do this anymore. I've had enough, because with him sitting around the house all day, he's, constantly just, I don't know. And that's when things started getting bad between like him and Gracie, because he would just, instead of just talking to her or whatever, it was like you'd say something and it wasn't what he wanted to hear, and he'd start screaming or whatever. So that was when things got bad with her. But it was just like, I can't do this anymore. But he was fussing at me, wanted me to drive to Alabama to go pick him up. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. And I know that was a horrible thing. And I know trust me, I know you look at me like I'm a horrible person. But
no, I truly don't. I'm sitting here thinking I would have probably left a long time ago.
Well, see, the majority of the time, I have not worked the whole time, the majority of the time that we've been married.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a couple of jobs on and off, but it's always like, I haven't had the money to leave. I haven't had anywhere to go, no way to take care of myself.
So
and it's just,
on him.
Yeah. And, I guess he liked it that way, in hindsight. He wanted me to be at home. But it was usually, well, that's your place. You need to be at home with the children,
mm-hmm.
which, I did. And I liked being home with my kids. I liked being there when my kids, got home from school and things like that. But it was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. My dad will come back later.
So when you told him no, from that point, did he just go stay somewhere else?
No.
What happened?
Well, the truck was, he blew up the engine on the truck. And so he was kind of stuck there for a while. He yelled and screamed at me. He called me again later that afternoon, and I told him, I was like, I'm not coming. I am not coming to get you. And he's like, yes, you are. You get your ass in the goddamn car and you come get me right now. I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And he yelled and screamed some more, and then he finally hung up on me. And then he called later and left a message on my cell phone, and told me that I needed to be in Gainesville such and such a time to pick him up at the bus station. He was going to take a bus home. And so he took the bus home. We didn't go pick him up because I was like, oh my gosh, he's furious. There's no telling what he's going to do. Mm-hmm. So my mom got us a hotel room in Orange Park, and we went up there and stayed for a couple of days until things kind of calmed down. He went out to the house. He broke through the window in the bedroom and got into the house and stayed there for, I know, at least one night. My brother-in-law from Jacksonville came down and picked him up, and he stayed with them for a few weeks. And then he went to stay at his dad's in Hawthorne. And then when my brother-in-law in Louisiana, when Joe bought the house, Bill moved into the house. Joe said he bought it for like dirt cheap.
So he just recently bought that house?
It's been a few months. I want to say, this is June. So I want to say like after the first of the year, I think, is when he bought it.
Okay.
And not too long after he bought it, I think probably just within a couple of weeks or something, Bill moved into it. He had tried to take another job out of town, trying to work again, and that just didn't work. He said he got out there, he worked 12 hours, and his arm just he couldn't control it. He couldn't, hang on to anything. Mm-hmm. And so he left.
So what was the deal? He was supposed to, I guess he could live in the house for free, but while he's living there, kind of fix it up.
Well, the thing was, Joe was actually going to eventually sell it to him, but Joe wouldn't put it in Bill's name until Bill and I were legally divorced. I guess Bill told him that, I don't know. I can only speculate. My sister-in-law, my brother-in-law Joe's wife is, she's a piece of work. And she always, thinks thinks the worst of people, but it's more of like a scheming type, It's like, well, what can I get for me? Well, if I think that way, everybody else is going to think that way too. And so they didn't want me, quote unquote, coming after him for the house, but I didn't want the house. 2, he was actually supposed to put our oldest daughter's name on the house because he told her that the house would go to her. He'd give her the house. If she would help him work on it, then he would give her the house. Well, that never happened because he didn't. And I told him, and I told my brother-in-law, I'm like, look, because they were going to try to get like grants, historical grants and things like that to fix up the house and the property. This is an old house that was built back in like the 1910, 1920, something like that.
Right.
So they were going to try to get grants to do that, but to be able to do that, it had to be in their names. Otherwise, Joe would be the one having to do all the grant paperwork and everything, and the money would go to Joe to have it fixed up. So they didn't ever do that, and I kept telling him, I was like, I'll sign whatever you want me to sign. I'll sign anything saying that I, claim no rights to it. I never will. And it's like, why would you even think I would do that? If you're going to put Gwen's name on that house, why would I try to go after you for something that belongs to her? I mean, that doesn't make any sense, but that was the way it worked. I don't know.
So they never got around to actually doing
that?
No,
they never did it. So, I mean, the house is it's Joe's house.
Now, I want to say that somebody, and maybe, I know I only spoke to you a few minutes or something.
Yeah, it was only a couple of minutes.
Was there an issue that came up earlier in the year or last year or something where you had to get a restraining order against him?
I've had several restraining orders.
Okay. And this has been over through the period of time since you guys have been separated? Or just...
over the last 20 years,
gotcha.
I've gotten several. Last year, probably September or October, he had come in from somewhere, I guess I don't remember. I guess maybe it was when he had tried to work that job or something. Somewhere. He came in and he said he was supposed to be coming to the house to pick something up. I honestly don't remember everything, but he was supposed to be coming to the house for whatever reason, and but he was supposed to be going to his dad's house first, and then he was going to come out to our house the next day. Well, he didn't. He came straight to our house and got there about 12:30 at night. And at first he was just acting all, everything was fine and joking and whatnot. And because I tried my best to get along with him because of the kids. The children have really never seen us argue or anything. And there's a lot of things that have gone on throughout the years that they have no clue about. And I've wanted it that way. I didn't want them to see all of that. And they didn't, that wasn't anything they needed to know. But he came in and he was acting all fine and whatever. I got up and went to the bathroom and I come back out and both of the girls are in bed. He had told the girls they needed to go to bed, but he had told me earlier when he got there that he had a story he wanted to tell me. He said, but it's not something the girls need to hear. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm assuming it's, some kind of dirty joke he heard on the construction site. He brought home plenty of them. But, so the girls went to bed and he was outside smoking because I didn't let him smoke in the house. So he was outside smoking and he's like, well, here, let's just walk down here. So we started walking down the driveway and we started walking. He started talking real quiet. And he's like, well, the story starts off like this. And he's telling me this, and what he was telling me though was that I was seeing somebody, and he wasn't happy about it, and he said that if I didn't quit seeing them and take him back, that he was going to have them killed, their whole family, my mom, my stepdad, 2 or 3 of my friends, plus their husbands and all their children. One of my best friends I've known since I was like 17, 18 years old, he said that he was going to kill her husband and her daughter, but he wasn't going to kill her. He was going to sell her. He already had people that had offered him $5,000 for her. And I'm like, you're out of your mind. You have completely lost your mind. And he's like, oh no, I'm perfectly sane. I know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm like, how are you going to... what makes you think you can do all of this? I'm like, you can't kill all these people. And he goes, oh no, I'm not going to. I'm not going to. He says, I've got friends that are going to do it for me. And I mean, he was totally straight-faced. Totally straight-faced. But very quiet. When he was really serious about something or really mad, he'd get really quiet. And it was just, scary. But I told him, I was like, I don't believe you. He's like, that's fine. You don't have to believe me. He goes, but I think we'll start off with your mom. He goes, so when you get a call that your mom and Leroy are dead, he goes, then you give me a call. And so I called.
Was he still
played
there
fine. Yeah, I just kind of played fine, whatever, because I didn't know that if I made him mad enough, he might try to do something to me. I had no idea. He'd come to the house with this kind of state of mind, no telling.
Sure.
And so he was like, he was going to sleep there on the couch. I went and got Gwen out of bed, and unfortunately she didn't hear anything. I got back up to the house, like right against where the car was parked, and I'm standing there at the edge of the car, which is right up against where her bedroom window is, and I started talking louder a little bit, but he wouldn't really say anything. And I told him, no, you're not. And the only thing Gwen heard was me telling him, no, Bill, no, and him saying, yes, you are. And that was the only thing she heard. But I had tried getting louder, so she could hear, but she had already gone to sleep, and that was the only thing she heard. But he went in the bedroom to take a shower, and because the bathroom in my bedroom is the only one that really works right, and so he went to take a shower, and I went and got her up, and I'm like, you're sleeping with me tonight. You just, your back is hurting because your bed's uncomfortable or whatever. You're sleeping with me tonight. She's like, okay. So when we went to bed, he was laying out there on the couch, and I waited a few minutes until I thought he was probably asleep. And I got a cell phone, got under the covers, and called 911.
That's smart thinking.
And they came out, they escorted him off the property. And so then he's telling everybody, he told my son that I was going crazy again. I was just getting stupid and all this. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So,
how old is Gwen?
Gwen is 19 now.
I was going to say, she's older. She kind of have an idea, or I would say, since you got her that night, you kind of confide in her, or she kind of knew that there was some things going on.
She knows a lot. She knows about the abuse. She knows all that Gracie knows. All I've really ever told Gracie is that, Daddy was mean, and sometimes he'd get mad and he'd hurt me. And that's pretty much all she knows. And she knows that that's why, Daddy didn't live with us anymore, and things like that. But Gracie's not, she doesn't necessarily process things the way we do, the way other people do. She's a little more simple. You have to keep things on a much simpler plane for her.
Right.
I know there's probably things that she understands better than I give her credit for.
Right.
But then there's a lot of things that I know she just does not grasp the concept. And so I try not to tell her, but I've done that the majority of the kids' lives. I've tried to shelter them from things that, there's so much stuff on the internet that the kids don't need to know. Yesterday, the Gainesville Sun had already put the story on the internet. And we still hadn't told Gracie. She was at her friend's house. She had no idea. And Channel 20 was over there trying to do, I guess they were doing a satellite shot
on there too.
Oh yeah, they have my name and my mom's name and the picture of my mom. And my mom is very against having her, anything on the internet. She thinks that's just, not cool. And they had taken pictures, and it's like, how did they find out what my mom's name was? And we started thinking about it when, because my brother-in-law went ahead and did an interview with Channel 20, and I think maybe it was Channel 4 that was there or something. I don't know, but somebody else anyway. And he was at the end. They parked the big forensics truck that was right there,
Right.
Well, he did it at the end of the truck, and so when my mom got there, she walked around the front end of the truck, and Siam, the deputy that was there, he let my mom come across, on the other side of the tape for a minute because she had just gotten there. And so we stood there and talked. Well, when she got over there to where he was at and he let her, come on the other side, she introduced herself to him and she gave him her name and that, she was my mother. And the little Gainesville Sun little girl was sitting right there at the end of the forensics truck, and so I guess that I'm assuming she heard.
Very quite possible.
And so, I mean, it was already on the internet. My friend called me, so it was like.
It doesn't take long for that stuff to spread.
No, but I mean, we tried really hard to keep. They tried really hard to keep Gracie away from the computer, and they kept the TV turned off so that she wouldn't hear about it. We didn't want her to know anything about it until we could get there to tell her. So, but.
Now, where is the dog? There was supposedly, I saw dog treats in there. Didn't he have a dog?
He had the dog. The dog was actually given to my daughter. A friend of hers gave her the dog because she worked all the time. Her boyfriend worked all the time. They were both in school, and the dog was just outside by himself all the time. So she wanted him to be with somebody that was there to be play with them and whatever, instead of him just being there.
Sure.
Gwen wanted to try to keep him in the house, but we could not housebreak him because he'd already been outside for so long. And then, we eventually put him outside, but, the girls played with him all the time and stuff. But Bill had said, he had said a few weeks ago, I don't know, a month and a half ago, I can't remember, that, because we had said something about, that he could have Dummy. The dog's name is Roscoe, we call him Dummy. That he could have the dog. And he's like, no, I don't need a dog. And so then he said, well, yeah, why don't y'all bring me the dog? Because I guess he was lonely, wanted companionship or whatever, and he played with the dog all the time. He just loved him. But so we took him the dog, and he had tried to housebreak the dog. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, he had tried to housebreak the dog, and that wasn't working. And so he'd put him outside on the chain. And all he did was bark all the time. So he had said something about it, about us taking the dog back. So when we got over there, he wanted us to go ahead and take the dog. He's like, I got into this afternoon, and he had pooped in the house again, and all that. So we went ahead. When I went home, I took the dog with me. So. And then it's like,
and
if he had kept the dog
food and
he sent like the dog food and a dog bone or something, and
bowls or anything. How was he feeding them?
Oh, he was just using a couple of Pyrex bowls, just like mixing bowls.
Okay.
That was what he was feeding him in.
Did you take those, or were those still at the house?
They were still at the house. I didn't take anything like that.
So you guys ended up taking the dog back home with you that night.
Yeah, he's at the house. Deputy Phillips or Detective Phillips and the other gentleman that was out there with her, the whole time we were standing outside talking this morning, he barked the entire time. So he just won't hush.
Now, since that night that you ended up having to call and get the restraining order, have you had to? How's it been since then, once you got the restraining order? How's he acted from that point? You know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing is, with the restraining order, he got served with the temporary injunction. Then we went to court to do the permanent injunction, and he was out of town again trying to work, and so he actually called the courthouse and told them just to go ahead and grant the injunction that, he didn't want any contact or whatever. And so they granted the permanent injunction, but they could not serve him with the injunction because he was out of state. And so there was only a certain period of time, I guess, that they can serve him with it, and then it's just kind of like null and void. So
how has he been since then?
He's been fine. I mean, like I said, I tried really hard to, to be as civil and cordial and not, we didn't argue, most of the time. I mean, sometimes on the phone he'd say something, or I would say something, and he'd yell at me and, tell me I was being stupid or whatever. But, talk to him on the phone. I have click. Turn it off.
Did he ever try and come back out there or anything?
We know that he did come back out to the house once and came in through the window again, because we came home and there were things missing.
So I'm thinking he was having a hard time with the thought of you seeing somebody else.
Well, see, that's the thing. When Joshua was here back in April, Joshua found out that I was seeing somebody. And I'm assuming that he told his dad because his things started to change after that. Like, because for a long time, he'd call every day, sometimes twice a day. Now, sometimes we didn't hear from him every single day, but he called all the time. And then after that, it was like he quit calling very much. I mean, he would still call occasionally, but
he never called and said anything about.
Never said anything to me about it. But now, I mean, we knew that he was talking to people. I don't know who he was actually seeing, you know, like, but we know he was talking to people. The kids had gotten on his computer, and he was on, I think, a couple of different dating websites. I know he was on the one that's through, like, Facebook or something, Zoosk. I think he was on that. And, you know, so the girls had known that. They knew he was talking to people. He had a Facebook, and I think both of at the time, last time the girls looked at it, there was like 2 women that was on there, and, you know, that he talked to. Gracie actually messaged one of them. Oh, my goodness. She's like, how old are you? Do you know my dad is 51?
Wow. Yeah.
So
has there been any ongoing spiff about either one of you guys dating other people?
No, because I mean, it's never been brought up. I never discussed it with him because it was none of his business.
Right.
And
even after you think you found out that you were seeing somebody through Josh, do you think possibly he never said anything to you or anything
not
about
a word. And as far as I know, he didn't say anything to the girls either. But he never said a word to me about it. But like I said, it was like shortly after that, you know, right after Joshua went back to Iraq, he didn't call all the time like he had before. And it took a few days for us to even, you know, think about it. It's like, wait a minute, your dad hadn't called. So, you know, then it'd be a week sometimes before we'd hear from him. And he usually called when he, you know, wanted the girls to come over and help him with whatever.
Did, who are you dating anybody currently?
I am sort of seeing somebody. He lives in Jacksonville. I mean, we met online. I haven't actually seen him in a month. I mean, we talk and we text and stuff like that. But
what's his name?
Oh God, are you gonna call
him?
Okay. No. I talked to him last night, and he is his name is Doug. May, M-A-Y.
He lives in Jacksonville.
He lives in Jacksonville.
Yeah. How long have you guys been seeing each other?
A month and a half. No, not 2 months. Not quite 2 months yet.
Now, what does he know as far as the relationship, or does he know that you have a husband?
Yeah, he knew that we were still legally married. He knew that because we were actually talking about it. And I think he thought that I was divorced, and I told him, I was like, well, you know, I am still legally married. And he kind of made a joke about it. He's like, oh, so I'm messing around with a married woman.
Right.
But, you know, I mean, he knew that, you know, Bill had been very abusive, and because he knew that I had some issues with that as far as sex and things like that. And he knew about that, and, you know, he knew about Bill coming into the house. And he didn't appreciate it. He thought, I mean, not because it was towards me, but just anybody doing that, period, you know, he said was wrong. He's like, that's pretty low, you know, coming and taking things out of the house that the kids need. He's like, you know, that's just wrong.
What do kids think about that? They're probably pretty.
Gracie really didn't know. I mean, like I said, we don't tell her a whole lot. Gwen knew, and that really aggravated Gwen, and she,
Sure.
you know, that he would come in and do that. And
now, has he ever been to your place, or
no? That was actually supposed to come out to our house this weekend.
Okay.
He was actually supposed to be coming out today. He's never been to my house.
Have you been?
I've been to his house.
Okay.
Yes.
So you've been up there to see him, but he's
Yes.
not been down here.
Mm-hmm.
Have the girls met him?
Not yet. No. That was you know, like I said, he was supposed to be at my house right about now.
So you called and came?
I called him last night and told him, I explained to him what happened, and and at first I was saying, well, we borrowed the truck from Bill, and then we took the truck back to Bill, and then, I found him and called the police and this and that, and he's like, oh, okay, and yeah, and okay, well, that's too bad. And then he just kind of stopped. He goes, wait a minute, because I know this is going to sound really crazy. I'm like, okay. He goes, who is Bill? And I'm like, okay. And then it hit me. Usually, like, he'd been married before. His ex-wife was either the ex or the bitch. And anytime usually I referred to Bill, it was, well, my ex, the ex, Gwen's dad, the kids' dad. We never really, used names. And so when I told him, he's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? That was, no, you're fine.
Now prior to that, who were you seeing that he found out about, or Josh found out about?
His name was Mike. Mike turned out to be a major bum.
That's the one that Josh found out about, that possibly maybe mentioned something to Dad about.
Yeah. Mike is in the Navy. He's supposedly, right now, he is deployed. I haven't talked to him since I found out, but he told me his brother died, and that was why he hadn't called or talked to me, for a while. And then I found out his brother is still alive and, doing halfway decent. I guess he didn't think that I,
Where did Mike live at?
Jacksonville also, yeah.
How did Josh find out about him?
He was at the house, and I think I got a text from Mike or something, and one of the girls, I think, said, oh, it's a guy, or her boyfriend, or something like that, but I don't really remember. I mean, and then he was asking me, he's like, okay, so who is this guy?
Right.
He likes to play the big man, so.
What was Mike's last name?
Chamblee, Chamblee.
And how long did you guys see each other? Did you see Mike?
Off and on, just it was only a few times. Maybe a month and a half also, about a month and a half. So, yeah, because supposedly he deployed.
The relationship.
He knew that I was.
Yeah,
he knew. He knew some of it. I didn't tell him a whole lot. He knew, that Bill had been abusive, and that was pretty much about all he knew. He's actually supposed to be deployed right now on the George W. I think. Supposedly he left on Mother's Day on May 8th. I don't know. I haven't talked to him.
How old is Mike?
38, I think. Doug's 39.
Who were you seeing at the time that he made the threats to kill all the family?
The guy that I was seeing then, I've known him since before Bill and I even met. And I do not talk to him at all. He still tries to contact me from time to time, and I finally just had to get ugly and nip that one in the bud.
Why did you?
Because, when I broke things off with him, he would text my phone, and Gwen was on my phone and texted him back and forth, and it was almost like childish sitting there, talking to her, and she would quit texting him for a little bit, and then he'd come back, what, you don't have an answer for that, and things like that. Mm-hmm. So I just
I was getting a little carried away.
Yeah, and he and his family were very harsh and very critical of Gwen. They said she was very immature and childish and things like that, and I'm like, okay, I can't do this.
Now, who was that?
His name was Armand.
A-R,
like arm and hammer, Armand. A-N-D.
Oh, gotcha.
Caudron, C-A-U-D-R-O-N.
And where's he live at?
He lives in Archer.
And how old is he?
He is 52, 53.
Now, how long were you seeing Armin?
Like from the end of August to probably right after Thanksgiving.
And but does he still try and stay in contact with you? Or
no, the last time he sent me a message was on, because like I said, we quit talking, texting or anything like that, calling, whatever. Every once in a while he would send me a message on MySpace, like he did at Christmas, at Merry Christmas or whatever. The last one he sent was like on my birthday, and
what was that?
April 8th. So he sent me a message then. I didn't answer it, and then he sent me another message like the next day or the day after, and it's like, oh, update and this and that, blah blah blah. And so finally I sent back to him like, look, just leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you, just leave me alone. And it kind of kept going back and forth and back and forth, and finally I just had to send him a message in like great big letters. I was like, leave me alone, go away. Leave me alone means do not call me, do not contact me, nothing at all. And I just had to, go away. Do not respond to this message. And so then finally that he quit.
So was he aware of the relationship, like your past history?
Oh yeah, because Armin and I have talked to each other off and on over the years. I mean, because we were friends, before anything else.
I've known him for a long time.
Oh yeah, I've known him since, like I said, before I ever even met Bill. So, I've known Armin for a very long time.
Are you originally from Gainesville?
No, I grew up basically in High Springs from the time I was about 10 or so. Mm-hmm. So, I lived in the area for most of it.
Armin?
When we met, he lived in Gainesville, and he's pretty much from the area. He was an Army brat, but he's pretty much
school or something like that.
No, I'm actually a friend of mine that I knew introduced us. She had a dating service, and this is the same way I met Bill. When people would sign up with her, if she didn't have anybody immediately to, this was before the internet, so if she didn't have names or whatever to give them, sometimes she'd give them my number at work. And they would call me, and we'd meet for dinner or whatever at the mall and stuff like that. And that was how I met Armand, and that was the same way that I met Bill. So, but with me and Armand, we kind of saw each other for a little while, and he decided that I was just too immature. I wasn't quite
That was a
ready.
long time ago?
Long time ago,
okay.
yeah.
So
but I mean, we
remained
friends, though.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But, we remained friends, and,
this was 20 years ago?
Oh, this is probably about 21, 22 years ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So,
and then
it'd been a long time.
So how'd you guys end up meeting back up or running back into each
other?
Well,
we were friends on MySpace, so we talked back and forth on MySpace and things like that, and excuse me. We talked back and forth and stuff like that, and then I told him that I told him I was leaving Bill, and he'd always, okay, Armand is what is called a Christian polygamist.
What does that mean?
He told my youngest daughter that, and she goes, oh, so you're gay?
That's funny.
He laughed too. He goes, no.
Right.
No, they believe in having more than one wife. He and I had discussed possibly, me joining the family and whatnot, but
and I mean, I guess I know what a polygamist and all that means, but when you say joining the family, does that, like getting married, I guess, and being his wife, or
well, they call it, it's called a they call it, he called it getting married, but it was basically just like, we kind of stood there and said, that we were committed to each other, and that was kind of what, would have taken place basically, but
you ended up not doing that.
No. The girls were very much against it, and I tried, I guess at the time
do a lot of people live with him?
No, it's just him and his wife and their 3 kids. He says that he is still married to this other woman who, her name is Louisa, and she's in like Venezuela or Brazil or somewhere.
So him and his wife and 3 kids.
It's just them, yeah. It's just them. He actually wanted like.
So that's okay with her too? I guess the wife.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys live with them or anything?
We actually moved into a house that they have that's like just a few blocks away from their house. It's one of their houses. They own it. I think they're trying to sell it now, but it was a rental house that they had. It was a house that they lived in originally before they bought the house. They actually own the original city hall for Archer, and they turned it into a house. And like the upstairs of the house is a museum, a military museum. Any military holiday, it's open. I mean, and I'll tell you this: he's got an incredible collection of stuff up there. You go up there, you meet him, and he doesn't stop talking about it. So it's pretty much an obsession.
You guys actually moved into Archer for a little while?
Yes, we moved there for a little while. I think we started moving in there like into September, first part of October, I think.
When did you guys actually move back from
Louisiana?
Yeah.
July last year, mid-July.
So July, you moved back to the house that you're at now for a while, and then in September.
Yeah, and then he was like, "Well, you know what? You move out here with us and everything, and be closer to the family, and everybody's closer together, and this and that, and so that was kind of the plan." But like I said, with Gwen being there, he was very critical of Gwen. He said she was very immature and very childish, and he said the same thing about Gracie. He did something to her that aggravated her, and he never let that drop. And but yeah, we moved back into the house, and actually Bill said that if we moved back into the house, that if we would stay in our house in Keystone, that he would make the mortgage payments on it. Because I told him, I was like, I can't afford it. With what I was making at the time, I'm like, I can't afford it. I cannot afford. I can just barely afford to, keep the lights on and all that kind of stuff. I was like, but I can't. I don't make enough money to pay the mortgage payment too. I mean, the mortgage was better than half of my income, and I was like, I can't do it. So
when did you move back into the house in Keystone?
Like I said, it was after, probably about the first week of Christmas, first week of December.
Okay.
It was after Thanksgiving, because actually Thanksgiving Day, they found out about something that Gwen had posted on Facebook and made both of them real mad. So they said that while we were having Thanksgiving dinner, Gwen needed to be packing her bags to leave. And that was pretty much the last straw for me. I was like, I can't do this. And so just slowly over, the next week or so, we moved everything back to Archer. I didn't tell him that we were moving. We just moved. Because I knew that if I told him, he was going to do whatever he could to try to talk me out of it. And so I was like, no. He was like, well, Gwen can go live with your mom. And I'm like, no. And he kept saying, well, she's an adult. She's an adult. And I'm like, just because she's 18 doesn't mean that she's fully grown, and she's still my child.
Sure.
And so I was like, no, I can't do this.
So when you guys moved back to Keystone, was Bill keeping up with the mortgage for you?
He did for a month or two, and then that was pretty much it. And then like by Christmas, he gave me, I think it was like $50 or $60 or something, that like Christmas weekend. And then he wanted to get Gracie a t-shirt. Well, we had to go with him to the mall to find the t-shirt that she wanted, and I ended up having to pay for it with the little bit of money that he had given me. And so I'm like, it just didn't make sense. But I don't know.
Is there anything that you can think of that anybody that you know of, anything that I haven't asked you that you think that might be pertinent to what happened? Like anybody that you know he's had issues with? I mean, just absolutely anything.
Like I said, he hadn't told us about any problems with anybody. As far as we knew, the only two people he really knew in Hawthorne was Mr. Bobby, who lived around the corner, and Art and his wife, and I cannot remember Mr. Art's last name right now. I only actually met the man once, I think. But they own the house that's directly across from Bill's. Like Bill's house is here.
So there's
like a concrete, like a block building right here in the front that said like Jesus Christ something. It was a church. And then behind the church back here is a little house, and they own that house. They don't live in it, but they own it. I think they've rented it out or something. But that's the only, I mean, I don't think he even knew the lady that was living in there, because last time Gwen asked him, about, he said something about Art, and she's like, oh, did they, they rented the house? And he was like, I don't think so. But I know he talked to Art, back and forth. Bill's stepmother had actually wanted to find out who owned that building right there across the street from his house, because she wanted to rent it and open like a thrift store or something. But Art wanted it to be back into a church. And when you turn there on 71st off of 301, there's like a little tannish beigey looking concrete building right up here. And he was gonna, from what Bill had told me, he was actually in the process of trying to get things together and clear out the church building and the other building and get it organized, because he was gonna open a thrift store there.
Bill was?
No, Art was. Art was talking about doing that. And so, yeah, because like I said, his stepmother had wanted to open a thrift store right there.
But nobody that you can think of that he's had any issues with or anything?
Nothing. I mean, because he's not a real sociable person. He doesn't really socialize. I tell him he needs to be more social, and he's like, I am social. And I'm like, antisocial doesn't count.
Right.
So.
Just because it's part of the social category.
Right, but, no, I mean, he never really said anything to us. Like I said, the only thing he had said was about this car that he was watching or whatever. And like when he said something about it the other night, I'm like, Bill, if you really think something's going on, you need to, call the police or something. He's like, well, I don't have enough to tell him. I'm like, well, you need to be careful watching people like that. And I told my friend Kimberly, and she's like, oh, if that's drug dealers, she goes, they'll shoot him. And I'm like, we told him to be careful. But he's like, so that's the only thing that we can think of. I mean, we chill. That's the only thing. I mean, like I said, he never talked about anybody else. Usually when we talked, it was something about, wanting us to come out and help him with the house, or, asking about he would ask about the kids and stuff like that. And that was pretty much it. Or he'd see something online that he decided we need to check on for a job. He'd just call us out of the blue. Oh, hey, you got a pen and piece of paper? I got a number for you. I'm like, what number? Oh, well, there was an ad and blah, blah, blah. And he'd give us phone numbers and stuff like that for that. But that was, other than that, we really didn't talk to him very much.
Did the kids ever go over and stay over there with him at that house?
Gwen did. She did once, and I know one night we all had, like, me and Gwen and Gracie had to stay over there one night because he was trying to fix the thermostat on the car because it kept overheating, and I mean I wouldn't get very far at all, and it was all the way over, and he was trying to fix that, and we tried to fix it a couple of times and it just wasn't working. It was he finally ended up just taking the thermostat off and putting the little plate thing back on. And my brother-in-law had told him they put this gunk on it, some kind of sealant stuff or whatever, and they said, well, the package says to leave it on for 24 hours, and I think the first time we left it on for like 2 or 3. And so my brother-in-law William was like, well, that's the problem. You need to leave it on that whole time. So the girls and I ended up basically having to stay there because he's like, well, I don't have the gas to drive you back and forth and then go pick you up again. So we basically had to stay there the whole night while it had time for, for everything to set up. But I mean, we never saw anybody. Like I said, he didn't really talk to anybody. We've been over there a couple of times, and Mr. Bobby would ride by on his bicycle or something. That's it. I mean, Bill didn't really have any friends. He didn't really talk to anybody.
Do you know, it's like, did he leave on like an outside light or anything at night, or do you have any idea about anything?
Well, the night that we were there, we turned the porch light off and everything, but I don't know. I mean, I know when we were living together, every light went off. Every light went off. But I wouldn't think that he would have any lights on because there was street lights.
Right.
So I wouldn't think so.
So is he used to sleeping with like all the lights out or whatever?
Oh, honey, he could fall asleep sitting in that chair right there with the lights right on his head.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He could fall asleep anywhere, anytime. And so, apparently he could sleep right through the trains because oh my gosh.
Yeah, right there on top of
that night that we stayed there, I mean, it was all night long. They were in it, like, there was one at 1:30, there was one at 3, there was one, I mean, all night long. It drove the girls crazy. Once we finally got home, we all went back to bed. It was, we were exhausted from all the noise, and it's just right there. And they blow those horns like crazy.
Anything else you can think of that might help me towards figuring out?
I really can't. I mean, I wish there was something I could just say, but I don't know. I mean, I've gone over it and over it and over it in my head.
When you were there the night before, did you wander around in the house at all?
That night we were in somebody else had asked me that. We were in the living room, and then he was showing us something. We walked into another part of the house, and then he showed me that he had put up a new light fixture in the kitchen, because for the longest time there was no light, period, no kind of light at all in the kitchen. There wasn't even not even a fixture to plug a bulb in. There was nothing in there at all. And so he finally, I think he said he got up there, William got up there and did something, fixed something so he could put a light in. He was all proud of his light. And and he said that the one in the little, I think it actually was originally a pantry, because the inside of the room, it's a little small. It looks like a little closet. It's not even, probably about half the size of this. And it's got, shelves all the way, on both sides, up and down. And that was where he put most of his tools and stuff. And he said something about fix the light in there, because like the whole time the light had been, I mean, it was there and it worked. It was, a little pull chain thingy, but the fixture wasn't like mounted to the ceiling, and he said there was something wrong with the wiring, that they had done something wrong, and he fixed that. And he just,
did he keep anything close to him for did he have anything to protect himself or anything like that you know of?
No. They asked me if he had a gun or anything like that, and he had bought a gun years and years and years ago and got rid of it. But I mean, as far as I know, he didn't have anything like that. If he did, he'd never mentioned it to me. As far as I know, he didn't.
What about the axe? Do you know where that was at, or where it came from, or anything?
No, the axe was probably either in that little room that I was with the shelves. He kept most stuff either there or on the back porch. Well, it's not really a porch anymore. It's closed in, but that was where his washing machine was. And he kept a lot of stuff back there, because he usually went in and out that door to like work in the backyard and stuff like that. So like, there was all kinds of stuff. I think the lawnmower was in there or something. So, but that's that's really the only place he kept anything. As far as I know, like in the very back room on the left-hand side of the house, the very back room was the piano that he had gotten for Gwen. He actually got her that. That was what he got for her for Christmas, was the piano. So, I know we've gone back there a couple of times, when we'd go over to the house or whatever, and Gwen would sit there and she'd like tried to label all the keys and everything. She wanted to learn how to play, and that was pretty much it. And I don't think I don't think we even went back there the other night. Yeah. Oh, he showed me that he had gotten a piece to fix the bathtub. When somebody had put in the bathtub, they didn't put in there's, because it's an old clawfoot tub,
Mm-hmm.
so there's usually like a drain hole at the top,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't put the piece back there. They didn't have the pipe running up to it or something, and because he had said that he had to be careful to make sure he didn't put too much water in the tub, because he did it one night and filled it up to where he thought it would be okay, and then when he got into the tub, then the water went and all over the floor. So he showed us that he bought it was in a box or something, some kit that had a piece going here and another piece coming up here, and he was talking about fixing that and things like that, but that's pretty much it.
Do you have any questions for me that you can think of right now? Anything that I might be able to answer for you? I know it's been a long 24 hours or whatever it's been right now, but all I can tell you is, we're working, as hard as we can. We want to figure out what happened. And
I know my son is going to want to know.
Sure. We all want to know. We all want to know. Obviously, that's the big question here. What happened?
He wasn't the best person in the world, but honestly, I still really don't. Nobody has really told me very much about what happened. All I know is that, or I've kind of gathered from different things that people have said, was that somebody used an axe on him.
I can't give you too much information because it is an ongoing investigation, and we have to be careful about how much information that goes out right now, because we want to do what we can to secure everything where we can figure out what happened, and
I understand.
Fortunately, I wish I could give you more information. But at this time, we're still in the process of collecting what we can to figure out what exactly happened.
I know, I don't know, crazy questions, I guess. My father-in-law had asked if anybody had told me when they would release the truck. It is Joshua's truck, and my father-in-law was like, well, while he's here, because I'm assuming he's going to get like 2 weeks leave. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But, he was saying, well, that's Joshua's truck. He'll probably need it to get around while he's here. And I told him, I said, I don't know. I gave them the key, and
it shouldn't be too long, and we'll have to release it to Josh because it is in his name.
That's fine. That's fine. Because y'all have the key, though. Y'all have the only key that there is, as far as I know.
And
I think the dealership may have one, but
yeah, it shouldn't be too long. Probably by the time he gets here, sometime, I would like to hope early in the week, next week. If you have him call me. Okay. I might, by Monday, like if he's in town Monday, I might have a better idea, of when I would be able to release that to him.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And I know he wanted to know, and like my mom had asked too, when we can have somebody get in there and clean it. But I do not want my children, because like I said, I know Joshua's going to want to go in the house. I know he's going to want to go in the house. Well, when can we get somebody in there to clean it?
That right now. Okay,
because I can't let my children see that.
Right now, honestly, because we have yet really to pull everything, but like you were telling me, the house is still in
Joe's name.
Mm-hmm. Truthfully, we can't release that house to anybody other than Joe.
Okay, Joe should be here Monday.
Okay. I mean, we have the keys that we have or whatever, but
Yeah, because like the key I gave y'all, that's the key that Bill had given Gwen to the front door.
Right. Probably by Monday or so,
Okay.
There wouldn't be an issue with Bill or Joe, sorry, the house being released, to Joe because it's in his name.
No, I understand.
But we can't really allow anybody else to go in there until, I guess, Joe does because it's in his name, and then like what happens from there.
Oh.
I mean, not necessarily go in, but everything will have to be released through him first.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay, I thought you meant him actually go in to the house.
But it has to be his call as to, we say, okay, the house is officially turned back over to you. It's your house. And then whatever he chooses to do from that point, that'll be his decision.
Okay.
So, yeah, I didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You understand.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anything else you can think of?
To see that.
I don't blame you. It's not anything that anybody would want to see. Anybody.
I just can't get it out of my head.
It's definitely a gruesome sight.
I mean, like I said, I didn't, I could see his nose. And
Don't be sorry.
That's really all I know. I don't. I'll probably walk out the door and come up with about 20 questions.
That's why you have my card there.
I'm sorry.
You call me and ask what you need to ask.
My mom said, "Well, keep a notebook next to you. Write everything down." And
All right. Well,
I'm sorry. It's 6 o'clock.
I just want to make sure that, in doing everything with us sitting down here talking today, I want to make sure not only am I getting the questions in my mind that, I need to fulfill for my investigation answered, I want to make sure that you get your questions answered as well. But obviously you have my card if something comes up.
Yeah, I do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I'm going to walk you back down there real quick. I want to see Gwen.
Okay.
And take her through. Obviously, I won't have to ask her, the questions about, the relationship between you and him because that's not, what I'm saying. But I just want to see
Gwen
her.
Gwen's she's really pretty much a very private person. Mm-hmm. She doesn't like to talk a lot, especially to people she doesn't know. Mm-hmm. And I tell you now, this is making her very nervous because she's like, I don't understand. I don't understand.
What does she not understand?
Well, I mean, just everything that's going on. I know they tried to kind of explain to us a little bit about, the way everything works, and because she's like, they keep asking us
elimination stuff.
Yeah, that's what they were saying, and I'm like, oh.
Because the first thing you have to do with any investigation is go to, the first enclose, and you have to go ahead and do all that elimination stuff before you can step outside, to the next thing. Another thing that, another thing just for elimination purposes and things like that, because you two were the last ones to see him that night and alive, we'll say, and then you were the first one that called in, the next morning. Probably for the sake of everything and verifying that your statements and what you're telling us are true and all that, would you be willing to take a polygraph?
I'll take one. I can tell you now, I have blood pressure issues, and this is.
No, that's actually that's really doesn't fall into being an issue when it comes to doing a polygraph. But it might be useful to, have that done if you're willing to, to have that to verify your statements, everything that you've told me, and then, that way nobody can come back at a later date and say, no, well, we didn't really make sure what she was telling us was, the truth. So is that...
I don't see why not. I mean, I don't see why that would be a problem.
Okay. Would you be able to do it while you're here, while I'm talking to Gwen? If I can get a hold of the polygrapher, like, I would literally have to go out and, see if I can find somebody in the building, but would you be willing to go ahead and take care of that while I'm talking to her?
I guess so. I don't...
Okay.
Well, now let me ask you this, and I mean, don't look at me funny, but
ask me.
Should I be concerned then, or
what we are doing? This is just like I said, just like you come down to do the fingerprints and stuff like that. We have to do elimination stuff, like, because we know for a fact you guys have been in the house. So obviously your fingerprints are going to be in the house.
Oh yeah.
So we know what we know to be your fingerprints, so we can automatically run those and say that those are eliminated from any other prints that were to come up in the house, because those prints should be in the house.
Yeah.
If your prints don't come up in the house, then it would be more of an issue than if they did. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just one step to the next step to the next step to when it's all said and done. So it can't be said that we didn't, take every step along the way to make sure we verify things and eliminate things as we go. It's part of the process of any investigation. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You have to, you have to start out with the people that we know saw somebody last. We have to completely eliminate you from this puzzle.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
For me, as the lead investigator, I have to be able to take you and say, well, you know what, I know for a fact, Stephanie, everything that she told me is 100% correct, because she came in, she did everything that I needed to do. We've sat down, we've talked about this, she took a polygraph, she passed a polygraph, the polygrapher said, yep, everything that Stephanie told me today is absolutely 100% correct, and then I can move to the next step of the puzzle.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
have to be able
understand.
to take those. I have to be able to eliminate as I'm going through. You know, that's just part of the process.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking if you would be willing to go ahead and do something like that.
I don't know. That'd be fine.
Okay.
I don't mind.
Give me a second and let me see if there's somebody around, and we might be able to knock that out while I'm talking to Gwen.
Okay.
Let you see them and then get that part taken care of.
That's fine.
Okay, give me just a couple minutes. Do you need anything to drink? Are you all right? I know you've been sitting in here for a little while.
All right.
Okay.
No, I mean, I was just asking because, like, when I was telling Doug last night, because I called him, and had to, because he had texted while we were there, and I, kind of let him know what was going on and tell him this weekend's kind of out.
Right.
I'm sitting there telling him all this, and he's like, well, and he's like, do I need to call you an attorney? I'm like, I don't think so.
Right.
No, because
you're in here, you're being honest with me, you know what I'm saying? All we're doing is eliminating you.
Because I know Gwen Guenevere, she's like, well, we already told him that. They keep asking the same things over and over again. So
it's part of the process.
I know. I do understand. It's just nerve-wracking because I keep thinking,
Absolutely.
Okay, what do I need to do next? What do I need to do now?
And that's why I'm trying to, take you through the process.
No, I appreciate
why
it.
you're here today. Get as much of everything that could possibly come up knocked out today, so we don't have to keep, hey, can you come in and see us, or hey, can we come out and see you? Get you guys all wrapped up, so we can let you guys move on to what you need to do as a family, and let us finish working the investigation. Okay. Let me see if somebody's here.
Oh, okay.
And I'll be right back with you.